The unburied dead, the unburied dead are coming back to life, are coming back to life.
My name's Mark Warman.
I'm Darren Kirkpatrick.
And we get paid to bring dead cars back to life. We work with my best friend Royal and my son-in-law Josh. We search far and wide to find how a car was built, where it spent its life, and how it died. After that, we bring it back to look exactly the way it did on the day it was born. If we don't kill each other.
Just shut your mouth before I actually punch you out.
Can I leave a handprint on your face?
So once again, Mark throws another curveball at me. My plate's already full, and he's having a hard time delegating exactly what I need to get done. First off, the 1971 black Cuda. He wants to get it lifted up on the shop crane so we can get it hoisted around and start getting things disassembled.
So we got the purple sunroof Challenger all painted, detailed, and setting aside for assembly. Meanwhile, I got a phone call from the owner of the Phantasm Cuda, and he's really motivated to get that done. So we're gonna have to focus a lot of attention and really make up some ground fast on that one.
The other thing is, he keeps mentioning to me about this new door and that I need to come in and work on a graphic for it.
We're getting a brand new fire door from Cookson here in just a couple of weeks. One of the things I really got excited about was when I talked to the salesman, he said, if you want, we can do some special graphics, knowing what we do for a living down here. So immediately I started thinking, what would I want on that door?
Our friends out at Wacom actually sent us this marvelous new piece of machinery, and I'm gonna take advantage of this thing.
So for the last 2 years, Josh has been bothering me, bugging me, saying, we need one of these, we need one of these. It's a Wacom tablet. I don't know everything that it does. I know they're pretty cool. I also know they're kind of spendy. So I put it off, I put off wanting to buy one of these.
It's gonna make the process of drawing up this graphic easy. I mean, you can draw on the screen. Everything is right there at your fingertips, so you don't have to constantly sit there and dibble-dabble on the keyboard. I mean, it's got its own little stylus. I can zoom in, I can change my brush size. The screen, I can rotate it around just by twisting my finger. And I can even adjust the monitor. I can even lift it up all the way if I feel like standing. If I've been sitting too long, I can just lift it up and stand up and draw when it's flat like a table.
So I thought, well, this might be an opportunity to kill two birds with one stone, so to speak. If I can get a good buy on the Wacom tablet and get Josh to do the artwork that I'd have to pay somebody pretty good to make it, why not? All day we got burned into it. Okay.
Dude, I'm doing this for you, man.
Josh was a nerd before, but I think if they have a nerd, now they have like a super nerd. Because all he does is sit there in front of that stupid tablet hour after hour after hour drawing things. He hasn't shown me anything, but he seems to be enjoying it. Again, all day.
You're wasting my time. I'm doing this for you, okay?
What is that? If you took all day to draw that,
moving on.
Who said they wanted a Chevy Camaro? I can't be happy about that. You took all day to draw that, or is that just a rough picture? It's next. More and I didn't think I could hate the first picture anymore. Go ahead. Garbage. Next. Waste of time, go. Dude. I'm telling you, I've been in here, I'm starting to get pissed off.
I honestly wish that Mark was more like the Wacom. I mean, this thing is just so easy, and it doesn't talk back to you, it doesn't talk crap to you, it's not manipulative, it's just easy. It's easy to work with. Something that Mark definitely has a challenge with. I used to be pretty artistic, so maybe my mind will mix with his and we'll think of something cool. I mean, hopefully that'll make Mark happy, right?
Hey, you're no Rembrandt, okay? I just needed a simple picture. You didn't listen to anything I had to say about the content, the look I wanted. That's better. How long did you spend drawing that?
I don't know.
The other ones are a joke or what? Because they didn't even have the branding that I wanted in them.
So do you like this one, yes or no?
I can live with that one.
So would this be something that you would like to go on that fire door?
Yes. I like
Really?
it. Yep. Overall, I think he did a really good job, especially in the finished product. I think he burned up a lot of daylight playing around with the other pictures that he knew damn good and well I wouldn't like. But the one he did do, he did a good job on it. At least now he's done with it, so he can go back to working on the black car like we need to have done in just a couple of weeks. I'm actually looking really forward to seeing the artwork on the door when Cookson comes down to install it. It's going to be really cool. God, you're looking more like Count Chocula every day.
Hey, I'm glad you like it, man. Finally, one thing we can agree on besides the fact you're a complete likes it though.
So I have everyone back to work on the Black Phantasm Cuda. There's a lot of detailing, a lot of cleanup, a lot of prep that needs to be done, but we're all on it now.
Kind of in the zone, ready to start getting some stuff organized. I've got all the fastening supplies laid out, the nuts, the bolts, the screws, the swivels, etc. And I'm going through the book right now, jotting down notes on what the finishing colors are gonna be on all the fastening screws. And I just wanna get everything in preparation so that when these guys get back in here, they're not gonna be at each other's throats trying to get everything in line. It's all about operation organization. If you don't have your stuff laid out and you're not organized, things are gonna get hectic and there's gonna be a lot of chaos. And God forbid Mark comes out here and nothing got done. You know for a fact he's gonna rip my head off and kick it around the floor.
So after I signed off on the graphic, Josh got it sent in to Cooks & Cornell. I understand that it's now installed on the door, and they're sending interior tech down to have the door installed.
We're installing a door for graveyard cars.
Process is pretty much look at our material, make sure everything's good, make sure opening's adequate, got everything we need.
I came down a month ago to talk to Mark to field verify an opening with him. I went over some problems, some issues with side clearance. We've got an electrical meter on the right-hand side that's restricting our clearances. On the left-hand side, we have an access man door, and the framing's kind of sticking out of the opening. I talked to him about it, and he was going to get it all taken care of for us. We get here today, and nothing was done.
Not a contractor, okay? But yeah, I mean, I agreed to do it, but that doesn't mean I'm going to do it.
Just makes us have to do more work, you know?
Here's an idea, okay? Why are you making a building fit the door? Why not make the door fit the building? I mean, I'm old school here, but wow. Is that just gorgeous? Look at that. You guys just finished putting the door up, and it's absolutely amazing. I mean, even if you forget about the fact that there's a beautiful mural of our beloved 71 Cuda on one side of it, just the fact that that is one trick door.
What Cookson and Cornell have done is taken an operator, a release device, and made it almost as fully automatic as you can get. Once your alarm activates it sends a signal, lets the door come down, it's dropped.
So you don't have to go up and reset
You
the whole
don't have
thing
to
like
go up and put tension on. You don't have to go up and
what a
re-engage
nice
the motor.
system. Wow.
It's all automatic.
This is going to allow Graveyard Cars to continue not only doing a wonderful job that we always do and a quality job, but to show that its surroundings are quality as well.
All right, well, I gotta get off here because they just got done putting the door in, so I'm gonna go check it out. Okay. All right, I'll talk to you later. Bye. I just got done checking out the door for the first time, and it looks phenomenal. God, that looks great. My design turned out great, and I gotta give credit to our friends out at Wacom, because without them, I'd be in the back still doodling on a piece of paper having Mark yelling at me.
Cindy, let's do this thing.
Never ends, never ends.
I need the bell housing and everything ready to go on that engine in about 15 minutes.
Wait,
Watch
buddy.
your fingers, gentlemen.
Ow!
If you don't raise it up, I'm gonna slug in. A little bit blacker than this when they're original specs.
And then
So today we're working on the 71 Cuda 340. We're going to assemble the front suspension and K-member. Earlier in the week, we disassembled it, cleaned it, inventoried it, and began the detailing process, which is very important when you're doing an OE restoration. But that process is now done, and we're going to start bolting it together. I spent a lot of time showing how a part is prepared, after it's prepared and cleaned, if it gets blasted, satin cleared, if it gets nickel cadmium finished, zinc chromate, or if it's a 80% gloss black instead of a full gloss black. Those are the kind of things that we spend a lot of time studying and researching so that we can have the bragging right that we are putting cars together OE. So you'll notice that I did the paint, duplicated the original Cosmoline. On the lower control arms, originally they took the control arms when they were brand new metal and they would dip them down into a vat of Cosmoline about halfway up this rivet point. But that goes about up to there, and then they'd pull it out and they'd let it hang and dry. And the only problem is the nature of the Cosmoline is it's a little bit of a waxy product. So the cars that I've seen at the shows that have that duplicated, it's right and it's good and definitely OEM. But some of my cars end up being drivers. And so if you're gonna drive this car down the road, you don't want this to be kind of an oily, waxy product that's gonna collect bugs and rock and debris from the road. So it's kind of the tar and feather gag if this was Cosmoline. So what I did was I created a paint out of my PPG paint system that duplicated the look of it. It even has kind of that blushed off look like the waxy Cosmoline would have. But the thing is it's perfectly dry. Nothing sticks to it. But it is OEM. Bugs and mosquitoes are OEM.
That would be.
Okay, let's put this thing together.
Mark's in the zone. Darren and I are over there trying to put the steering box in, and Mark just comes right over, shoves us out of the way, and says, you guys are taking way too long.
Why are you milking that long? I want to hammer these down to 150 foot-pounds. Nobody likes that anymore.
You know what, dude? I don't want to strip it. God.
Did you start it?
Darren and I are trying to work together to get it done the right way and efficiently, but I mean, Mark's always in a hurry to get stuff done, and that's how problems are going to start. Well, regardless, it doesn't matter.
Okay, that doesn't work, fool.
It doesn't work, Paul.
In the case of an OE restoration, everything has to be OE. Not just the nut and the bolt and the washers and all the hardware that go on something, but the finish and the fit and the date codes. All of those things have to mimic whatever year that car was put together. That makes putting an OEM drivetrain together about 8,000 times harder than putting together some small block Chevy with a power glide behind it.
Is there a certain way that these face, or do they go that? I mean, is it that? I always put them like that.
It doesn't matter. If you actually read the book, he even talked about it in here. Another thing that I kind of get used to seeing on certain OEM restorations is people won't pay attention to what direction the bolt went in at the assembly plant. In some cases, not very often, it doesn't matter. And it seems to me that the only time it doesn't matter whether it goes front to back or back to front is when, like in the case of a tie rod, when you flip it over, whatever you had it in before will be facing the opposite direction. You need to turn the steering wheel. I'm gonna move this. Watch your fingers, gentlemen.
Ow!
I'm gonna move
It
this.
gives somebody a little bit of time.
Watch your fingers, gentlemen. I'm gonna move this. Watch your fingers, gentlemen. Ow.
Give them a little bit of time, Mark, maybe, to move.
So we just finished putting the last few pieces on our front suspension K-member, so it's completely done now, which is amazing. We got it put together in like an hour, where normally we would have spent half a day doing it. So now that it is all done, all we've got to do is finish detailing the motor, transmission, and bell housing. We can set those on the cradle, and it will be ready at that point to have the car set down around the suspension. Josh and Doug are working on disassembling the rest of the pieces on the rear end, the rear suspension, and getting it detailed and cleaned, and there's a lot of sandblasting. So my cousin called me a couple of weeks ago, Doug. We grew up together, and we basically grew up doing engine work, motorcycle work, mini bikes. I have a great deal of respect for his mechanical abilities, and he needed some work, so I said, heck yeah, get down here. But I want him to be able to get all the way up against this lip here, right to here. So this area here needs to be clean. Like, when I asked Josh to make sure it was clean, now remember, the new rule is if I tell him to do something, I want him to completely ignore it and not do it. Then I don't come mad at you, you know, like I've been getting in trouble because I come at you all mad because I'm expecting something out of you. I ain't expecting nothing anymore.
Okay, good for you.
I have lowered my expectations.
Thank you.
Meanwhile, Darren and I are gonna be in here working on the 340 so we can get it painted and installed on the new K-member. So I'm gonna leave you with those pieces. I'm gonna take Tweedledum here. Nice haircut, Alfalfa. Up here and work on the motor.
Hi, cousin.
Am I supposed to with him?
How did you cope growing up with him?
Well, I didn't live with him.
Yeah, I know if I would have, I probably would have been gone.
Should we go hang this?
Yes, we should. Thank you, because
I'm ready.
I am just Oh.
That non-hardening.
It will set up, but it doesn't get completely hardened on. A lot of times when Darren and I are just working kind of one-on-one, we get along pretty well. He's a knowledgeable guy. In the case of the 71 stuff, he had a 71 340 car when he was younger. He remembers a lot of little details on it. So in this case, when we're getting along, we can get a lot done. Yeah, I'd make it even with the edge. So if you needed to cut some down, go ahead and do it. Putting the intake manifold on the 340 is a little challenging because the owner specifically wanted an Edelbrock aftermarket intake manifold. He wanted the Performer, I think it's called. So it's a dual plane aluminum intake manifold. My client with the Phantasm Cuda, he's got quite a few different Mopars. Most of them are very OE. He wasn't as hell-bent on making sure that every little detail item was OEM. So he wanted to add the Edelbrock aluminum intake because he had one on a car when he was a kid. But I need the nipple for that.
What did you call me earlier?
I think it's like a 9:30 seconds. Because you know I'm fighting this stupid intake manifold and I got you picking at me just constantly.
I'm trying to help you. No, but I'm not going to put this word on there what you called me anyway.
What'd I call you?
You called me an
and he walked out. He'll be back. But I called him a bad word and, you know, sorry. So. Okay, so I need, oh, you got the bell housing, nice.
Yeah.
And you're thread chasing the holes even.
Yes.
I love it.
Are you happy? Does that make you proud?
How did you know that was the right bell housing? You're either a really good guesser or you know the answer.
I actually did guess, believe it or not.
You really did?
Yes, I
the
did.
hole at the top is small block.
If it
Big
did have
block
one there,
does
then
not
it
have
would
a
be a
hole.
big block.
Correct.
I remember that now.
Nice work.
The next thing that I have on here is the 340 transmission itself, which needs to be pressure washed, cleaned, and completely free of any dirt. The sway bar, which we finally got all the brackets and the rubber grommets off of that. So I need to get that sandblasted. I have other miscellaneous transmission parts and pieces that I need to get cleaned up, and so I can get everything laid out for the transmission to be assembled. Super swamped with a million other things that Mark wants me to do. And somewhere in all this list of things, I have to add in whooping his ass, and Darren's as well.
What are you doing? I need the bell housing and everything ready to go on that engine in about 15 minutes, and it doesn't look like it's any different than when I walked away from it. So is that possible? You okay?
Now, in a matter of life or death, if I don't get it done in 15 minutes?
No, fired and disowned from the family.
Okay, that's
in
more
15
like
minutes.
it.
I'd recommend going.
You know,
and
I think
sandblast
that
it
I
right
should
away.
have signed the prenuptials with you.
You can't put the axles in without the seals being in. Orange means it's a sure grip. A great looking factory street Hemi orange.
Do you remember what you said this morning?
What did
You were
I
going to
say?
start respecting Mark. and
I
you-
never said
Yes,
that.
you
Don't
did.
put words in my
Yes, you
mouth.
did. You said you
This
were
is
gonna
why I
start
go off the deep
respecting
end.
us a little bit.
No, whenever you or
What's
him
the deal with
pay
your finger
for,
pointing?
dude,
What's wrong?
because you need to stop.
What's wrong with you?
You're getting in my head.
You
and
don't listen, not
I
getting
hate
along
you right
with
now,
Ian?
dude. Don't. Oh my God. Have you ever had your nose broke?
I had a guy try it once.
Try to break your nose?
Yeah, he
Well,
really-
do or do not. There is no try. Okay. Either you did get your nose broke or
No,
you
I
did not. Okay.
Why?
Because you're cruising for it, man.
Oh, okay.
So do you know if the fuel pump goes on before it gets painted, before the engine gets painted?
No.
You really don't know?
No, do you know?
Yeah, I know. But you should know. It does go on. All the Mopars, except for the Hemi, the fuel pump goes on
Why
first.
you said I know?
Well, that's why I
I thought
asked
we were going
you.
to look it up in the book.
That's why I asked you.
I
It was
thought-
your chance to shine, but you can't.
Well, I did know.
Well, I don't know what to tell you, buddy. I ask you a question, you don't answer it. You can't be mad at me. So even in the case of our Phantasm Cuda, when I have a client that wants to change some things up, maybe it was a drum brake car and he wants a disc on it, or in this case, he wants an aluminum intake manifold versus the original, I still make sure that we round up all the correct pieces and have them detailed and ready to install should that owner ever want to change it back to the OEM style. I'm not not sure what it is, but it seems like all the stars are lining up just perfect right now. We are getting a lot done on the Black 71 Cuda. I don't know if it's just better spirits, better equipment, better lighting, better whatever, but we're actually rocking and rolling on this thing. What do you got? What kind of sandwich you got?
I got a BLT, bro. What'd you get?
What's this? I told you I wanted something Italian. I'm trying to start eating better, so I started eating sandwiches more often and less of the fried burgers and the high saturated fat stuff. Don't put your mouth on that.
Too late.
Don't do it. That's my sandwich. I told him exactly what I wanted. I wanted an Italian sub. I don't know what all's on it, but I know it's Italian, right? He came back with a chicken sandwich, which I had a bite of and it was good, but that's not the point. The point is, I was in the mood for Italian. I've been watching a lot of The Sopranos lately, and they eat a lot of Italian type of foods. What's
What are you
in
talking
it?
about? That's a BLT, fool.
Mother. Welbies.
So Mark sent me down to Quiznos to get us some sandwiches, and he asked for something Italian. He didn't specify exactly on Italian. I see chicken carbonara. Sounds kind of Italian, so I'll pick it up for him. I got myself a BLT because I love BLTs. He was not really satisfied with it. I guess he wasn't in a
Sure.
chicken mood, so he decided to
haven't
take
seen
my
that.
sandwich and eat it.
Okay, bye. That is the best sandwich I've had in a long, long time.
What, mine?
The only problem I've got with it is you took mine. Now we're even. This is my
Whoa,
sandwich.
dude, come on.
This is my sandwich.
The
This is my
receipt's in the
sandwich.
bag. The receipt's in the bag. Just check it over.
I'm just not a big chicken. I'm more Italian, so I like a lot of. That's why I specifically ordered something Italian.
His head's just stuck in this Sopranos world.
Let me give you a piece of advice, okay? If Tony Soprano asks you for an Italian sandwich, don't give him a chicken delight
You know, it's Polly this, so-and-so's gonna get whacked.
because you're gonna be dead. They're gonna be picking you up off the bottom of the ocean.
You're on a power trip, you know that?
When you want something Italian, when you want to be able to pop somebody, this is what you want. And that's just it. It's not about the sandwich. He keeps making it about the sandwich. It's not about the sandwich. It's about following directions. The only thing I'm going to do is I'm going to ice you if you make another mistake like this again and bring me a chicken sandwich when I order
Right,
Italian.
boss. Right, boss.
Well, your penance, fool, is I'm eating your sandwich.
I thought that was your sandwich.
Stop and eat my sandwich.
You know what? It's not gonna matter anyways because you're always gonna take mine because mine looks better. I want something Italian and greasy. But hey, what'd you get? You know, today I just decided to do a roast beef au jus.
Bless you.
Thank you.
In the past, with the engines that got painted Hemi orange, for example, I would always use like an off-the-shelf rattle can, and I noticed that tends to deteriorate and fade quickly. So now I'm doing a single-stage urethane by PPG. Where you have a situation like this with a motor where there's a lot of bare metal on it, you don't want to spray the urethane directly over the bare metal. It's not designed to do that. So I spray out the DP90, which is a two-part epoxy by PPG. Once the DP90 is applied and flashed off, it's ready for the top coat. Once I mix up the color, I put it in the gun, and it's time to start spraying factory Hemi orange. What I like about it is when it's done, it's glossy, it'll stay glossy for years to come, and it's the correct color. And that nets me a great looking factory street Hemi orange. Now we just have to put the inspection line markings on, and it's ready to be installed. Honk! Went the big 440. I'm gonna slug in. So today we've got all the rear suspension pieces that Josh took apart the other day, now detailed, organized, cleaned, and ready for reassembly. So we're gonna start working on that. The rest of the pieces that go on the motor, so it can go down onto the K-member and suspension, are also cleaned and detailed. So by the end of the day, we should have the motor, transmission, bell housing on the front suspension, and the rear suspension set on the cradle, and all of it ready to assemble and go up underneath our 71 Coupe.
Jeez.
Anyway, I can't lose it.
Keep that locked down. I was thinking things were going along pretty well. We were making a lot of ground up. All of a sudden I realized I had just been Cousin Dougie. Cousin Dougie mean he did something wrong that cost me time or money. And in this case, he lost the brand new Napa axle seals I had laid out so I could put the rear end together. You can't put the axles in without the seals being in first. Thank you, Cousin Dougie. That's about all we can do on that until we have those seals. They got to go in first.
Yeah.
So I say, why don't we start putting the motor mounts on the 340, get the suspension cross member over here, and let's start building that out.
I finally found a good use for the Corvette. We're gonna hang the nuts for the Mopar off of the Corvette and paint them. So we finally found a good use for the Corvette.
You know those idiots are gonna be over there for the next 2 hours looking for the same bolt sitting right in the top of the toolbox. Meanwhile, I'll have to figure out what to do with the engine that's not suspended. There went the breaker. There's back on.
Sorry.
Hate their guts. No, no. Don't be sorry. Don't be sorry, Royal.
I was trying to get stuff done.
Yeah, that's what I always get the impression of. Okay.
Not big well. Behind you, buddy, don't step back.
But I don't think that's going to work. I don't
So
think
you
that's
had
gonna go in
geometrically
between there.
got it.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
why don't you try
I did
being
not.
nice
I
to
did not.
him?
I thought when we
You
pulled
weren't
this arm
listening.
out this far that we were okay. The motor is too far back on the cherry picker to be able to lower it down onto the K-member, so we need to suspend the motor a different way.
We can hook it up to that crane.
We almost need to. Almost gonna have to. Here we've got the legs on the cherry picker that are too long. And so when we try to get in and hover straight over the center of the K-member, we can't get in that far. What are we gonna do? I gave the guys permission, move it over to the shop crane, raise it up in the air, put it wherever you want, drop it down on that K-member. And in the case of this, I don't have to worry about the Three Stooges forgetting to put a bolt in the cherry picker leg and having the whole thing come tumbling over like it did a few months back. Right one for this. Yes, it is. Very nice. Thank you, Darren, for being a dumb bastard.
What happened, Mark?
Well, I asked him to set the third member support up, but I guess
No,
that
you
was too
did
much
not.
to ask. I most certainly did.
You most certainly did not. Thanks to shop crane, we're able to get this engine up in the air because we tried doing it with the engine hoist, which is sitting over there, but the legs were coming into it and hitting it, and we couldn't get it all hooked up right here to the K-member. So we put it up here on the crane, it's gonna work great.
Yep.
Okay, looking good?
That's it. Yep.
The afternoon is going really good. We flipped a coin. The loser had to work with Mark. I won. I got to work with Royal, so things are going actually good. So Josh got stuck with Mark.
Do you remember which ones are which?
Yeah,
I hope so, man,
I always do.
because I don't.
These are really easy, Josh. You won't remember this. I don't know why I take my time, but that hole, these things look identical. That hole has to face forward. It'll only go on one side and still face forward.
Right.
So if you put this on the other side and that hole's facing backwards, that's the emergency brake cable.
So therefore it won't work.
Right. So remember that. There are still a few items that I don't trust anybody else to do. When it comes to actually bolting the engine together, unless I have my engine builder do it, I want to do it. When it comes to putting a transmission together, I want to do it. Rear axle, same thing. You've got to know how to set the preload on it. You got to make sure that the seals are greased. If you want this thing to not fail, I should be the guy to put it together. Okay, I am ready to put the rear axle in. I need my flange, my blanc d'arguet. Call it goober juice. Drive shaft is a propeller shaft. That's what Chrysler calls it. It connects the transmission output shaft to the rear axle. When it's connected and spinning, that's what makes your wheels go around on the outside. When things get hot, they stretch. Okay, so you're going down the road, everything gets a little bit of play to it. it gets a little bit longer, a little bit wider. You want a certain amount. That means also when it gets cool that it sucks up the other direction, okay? So if this axle did not have a little bit of slack in it, like if I couldn't go chunk, 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 chunk when I'm done, or you go out on the road test for any period of time and there's no in play in it, that rear end will seize up because everything will shrink, start getting close together like that, and then bam, you'll blow a bearing out.
Wow. God, dude, I'm gonna lose it.
What's wrong?
This fly will not leave me alone.
You tried wiping?
I hate you.
The fly, he's getting dizzy, man. He's tired of flying around.
Yeah.
Treating me okay. He helped me. He was a lot of help with finding the extra bolt I needed and the nut, getting the wrenches, getting together, and helping me with the motor mounts.
Let's get that put down then.
Let's do this.
Wow, that thing. Oh,
Stop. Oh, yeah, that's
Okay.
good, homie.
Okay, let me,
Pretty good on my side.
I'm gonna guide this side really well.
I need to pick up on this. You ready?
Hang on
Yeah,
one second. Okay, go ahead, Roy.
There you go, buddy. There you go. You're almost down. Yep, looking good.
Whoop.
Hang on.
There we
Okay,
go.
I'm in.
The bolt's right behind you, right there.
The shop crane is without a doubt one of the best pieces of equipment I've gotten. It's allowed me to be able to do everything safely, number one. Number two is, in the case where Royal or Josh or Darren don't show up, I can do it by myself. This thing's like moving butter around in a circle.
I need one more 2x4, I think.
Okay, Ron. Don't go Tourette's on us. Don't go
yeah,
Austin.
Yeah, I think I need one more 2x4.
Yeah.
Yeah, one more 2x4.
You guys doing okay?
Mark's having me put together the rear brakes. He knows that I've done a lot of them. I had my ASE certifications for about 10 years in brakes, suspension, and steering, so that's kind of what I tried to specialize in. There's so many components to the rear brakes, the springs, the emergency brake cables. If you put something in backwards, it won't work, or if you don't get it on there right, it could fall apart while you're driving, and that could be messy. Okay, a lot of people don't know there's a primary shoe and a secondary shoe. The primary shoe always goes in the front. The primary shoe is smaller. Emergency brake actuator goes on the secondary shoe. Your drum brakes are self-actuating. As you apply them, they will self-actuate. If they're put on wrong, they won't work correctly. One will grab more than the other, one side will grab more than the other, lock up. So you always want to be sure the primary shoe is in the front and the secondary shoe faces the back.
So I just got done lubricating the power steering pump O-ring, and I'm getting ready to put the power steering pump back in the power steering pump housing. It's the original 71 CUDA power steering pump housing. This thing's actually turning out really, really pretty.
There's a few pieces you have to put on, such as the crank pulley, power steering pump, alternator, etc. And that dresses the motor out the rest of the way. Better check your depends, fool.
I'm excited. It's going real well.
This car, without a doubt, will be the most stunning car at any car show it goes to. So we are done with the final assembly of the motor, transmission, bell housing, and shifter assembly, as well as the rear axle and leaf springs. So now we just have to push it inside the assembly room, put the final inspection line markings on, and it's ready to be installed in the car. I know that the transmission gets two white marks down at the very back of it, right down there. One of the things that I think sometimes gets overlooked when you're doing an OEM restoration is the duplication of the assembly line markings. An assembly line had employees, it had humans that were working on it, as well as all the automated equipment. For the guy at the beginning of the assembly line to let the guy at the end of the assembly line know that all the bolts for the shackles had been tightened down, he would put a swatch of paint on there. For him to let him know that the brakes had been checked and tested and adjusted, there was another color of paint on there. So I try to mimic that exact same look on my cars today, so when I'm bragging about something being OEM, It's as close to OEM as you can get. And do you know why they do orange? Orange means it's a sure grip. They got rid of in '71, they stopped using the tag that said sure grip on it, and they just put an orange paint around the filler. So today, we get to raise the car up in the air, lower it down around its original drivetrain for the first time in years, and make this car whole again. This is gonna be an awesome day. Royal, come on. All right. Okay, motor and transmission go that end in this exact direction. All right.
You're the man.
Inch it. Hard to your right, Joshua. This is the very first time we've used the shop crane to assemble the cars like the manufacturer did. So it's very important that everything is safe, that all of the bolts that are installed are not flexing, that we have a good bite on it. The way I have the shop now set up looks a little bit different than the factory, but it's the exact same process. With the shop crane, I can lower the car down around the front suspension, rear suspension, put it all together just as the factory did, roll it straight forward to the bin pack side-by-side hoist, raise it up in the air, tighten up all the loose ends, lower it back down, roll it inside the assembly room, and all of a sudden we're ready to put interior glass and moldings on.
It's going quite well considering we had to look for a few parts. I'm excited. It's going real well.
It's funny because when I was a kid, I did quite a few motors in my different cars. The way to do it was to raise the car up in the air on jack stands or logs, whatever you had, take the hood off and take the motor and dive it in from the top. It was a lot of work. You usually beat the hell out of your firewall and all the aprons around it. I kind of wish I knew then what I knew now, and I probably would have tried to duplicate the factory even back then. Basically, everything went pretty well. There's a few modifications I need to make to the engine cradle so that we can make it more adjustable. I think it'd make lowering the car down and lining everything up a little bit easier if that was adjustable. But basically, we're done with that now. So we're gonna put the wheels and tires on the car, roll it forward to the hoist, lift it up in the air, and button up the undercarriage on it. Our 71 Coupe is supposed to have the 15.7 Rally with the Goodyear Polyglass GT60 tires on it. The tires aren't here yet, so I'm gonna use the wheels and tires from the Daytona Charger, put them on there just so I can roll the car around and get it back into the assembly room. Now
Look out, big boys! Look out, big boys! Look out,
Jack
big boys!
goes under.
Woo, woo, woo.
Royal steering, that's all I can say is royal steering. All right.
Our town.
Is that a good thing on the flywheel?
God almighty. If you don't raise it up, I'm gonna slug you in. Why didn't you ask if it was a good thing?
Did you poop a little?
You better check your depends, fool. You just dumped them. Oh, man. Why'd you put a piece of... Awesome. That's like a splitting maul, you brainhead. You're just stupid.
Give me that piece of wood.
Yep.
How's that, friend?
Good. Royal, did you leave the transmission in neutral?
Marcus?
I got it. Just checking.
Got it all handled, guys.
Projected.
While you're playing house, I got her handled.
Cool.
See if you didn't have those clips in there, that thing would fly out. What'd you say why would I lie? The guys start drilling me on making sure that I got the drive shaft installed right. I don't know who they're talking to. This has happened to me before. This isn't my first time to the fair, okay? So I told them about the time me and little Tammy C was coming back from Marcola in my Charger, and the U-joints came apart at $1.20. We're driving back. I said, that's the kind of church we ought to get married in. I like that little church. She says, what makes you think we're getting married? Well, because a few weeks ago, you said you wanted to get married. Yeah, well, we're a little young, aren't we? Okay. Perhaps you haven't met the gas pedal yet. Boom! I hit the gas pedal. I holds it to the floor.
What's your point of your story?
Clonk! Went the big 440. Collab-bop! Went the 440. Kabong! 120 miles an hour, the yoke let go of the back end. After the drive shaft comes out, it takes about 1.5 miles to coast to a stop. I look over and say, hey, now listen, don't start. Bam, the door's shut. She's out and walking home. Good. Okay, Josh.
778, I believe that is the right-hand side, and 779 is the left-hand side. They should be labeled too, like it should say R. Yeah, see? 778 R,
so here's the left.
779 left.
All right. I think one side goes one way and one side goes another. Okay. We're doing these cars perfect. We are doing them exactly the way the factory did, only 40 years later. Everything is built out for the 71 CUDA. It's ready for its final assembly. People say they're out there doing it right. People are bragging that they're the man. Are they? Because I got a quadruple black 71 344 speed CUDA sitting right there that says we are. You've got quadruple black. That means you got a black leather interior, you got a black car, you got a black billboard, and a black vinyl top. It's a 340 with a shaker hood on it, rear window louvers, rear spoiler. What else can you add to it? This car, without a doubt, will be the most stunning car at any car show it goes to. Probably one of the most stunning cars in the world. The back of your head looks like a f***ing lollipop. It does. It comes out and it swirls out like that, like a lollipop.
So you want to suck my head?
And honestly, I'm in a bit of astonishment because I would have to say, the single most productive week we've ever had. So with the new walk-in pad, Josh did a beautiful job creating the graphics for the fire door.
Yeah, that Cooksum door looks great with the 71 CUDA image on there with the license plate that says not dead yet.
That's pretty clever. That's pretty clever.
What?
And putting the license plate on there.
Oh yeah, it looks really good. Oh, it was your idea?
No, it was his idea. I'm
Oh.
just trying to talk. I'm just trying to interject.
All right, I don't know sometimes. All right.
We got to use the brand new shop crane for the first time and duplicate the assembly line process. It was awesome lowering down the 71 CUDA over the suspension. I imagine that must have been exactly what it was like back in the day. What were you, like 20 years old in 69?
14.
Yeah, whatever.
Well, 13.
You're
14.
old. It was kind of fun hanging out with Cousin Dougie. Haven't done that for a long time. You throw in another little old ham. I got old ham on one half, Orman on the other. One's Native American and the other one's German. Hell of a combination. I think Rambo was that.
Was he?
Anyway, Dougie got to come out, gave us a hand. Noticed that everything went pretty smooth when he was here. He's a little bit zombie-ish, but he's an awesome dude, and I love him. Word. The new bin pack hoist showed up. Another step towards making Graveyard Cars the best restoration shop in the country. We got the entire drivetrain assembly for the 71 Phantasm Homage CUDA built, detailed, assembled, and installed. And I survived another week with you, so I'm excited about that. By the way, that whole thing last week about the Rain Man, I was just gonna let you know I had gotten some more responses. Actually,
Feedback?
Yeah, one's a doctor and says it's true.
$3 quarters, 2 pennies, a dime, and a nickel.